Okay, so last day we started on the final situation. Whoever's got the laser pointer, put it away. All right.
Who had the pointer laser?
That's on a red dot.
Is that guy? Is that guy right there?
Is that from outside the classroom?
Is that guy?
Don't be a snitch.
All right.
You,
Okay.
not
So last day we talked about the last little concept I want you to be able to do is, hey, if I describe a relationship with an equation, how do you create a graph, right? And what I said is you basically need to pick 4 values of x. So you can come up with 4 points to plot, right? And I gave you these x values last time. And all you do is, in the equation that you're given, you replace the x with the value you want to try out. And then you calculate the matching y value, okay? So that part is actually the easiest part. It requires the least amount of thinking, right? The harder part is coming up with your axes, make sure the spacing is right, right? And then plotting the points actually ends up being where students make more mistakes. The other harder part is trying to figure out what values of x should you even use. Like I gave you these ones. If I didn't give you them, what would you use, right? So let's go to the back side of the page. Let's start off with there. Okay. Now, here's Mr. Dhaliwal's tips. I wrote x values down here, right? Suppose I didn't give you these x values. What would Mr. Dhaliwal suggest? Here's my suggestion to you guys. It doesn't matter which x values you pick. You're using the formula here to give you the matching y values. So it'll always work out. But we want our numbers to be small and not all over the place because it makes it easier to graph. So I always suggest, hey, use the numbers 0, 1, and 2. These are small numbers, especially when you put, I like putting zeros into calculations. I like putting ones into calculations. Those are easy to numbers to put in. You don't want to put a number like 365. That's a big number to calculate. You can do it, but it's just a pain. Grab your notes out. Grab your notes out.
Pencil.
All right, I can get you a pencil. All right, so you can have some easy numbers. So that's 3 numbers there, right? Now you can go 3, you can go 4, all right? In this question, I put in some extra negative numbers. Let's just say -1 because I want you guys to practice with -1 as well. So those are the 4 points. Now, the other less important trick that I want to tell you is when you're picking your numbers, try to keep a pattern. Because then you can see the pattern happening in the table. Here, I'm going up by 1s. Last day, we went up by 2s each time. If you're going up by a pattern, there should be a pattern that forms on this side. That way, if you start making mistakes, you should hopefully notice it, right? So that one is not a necessary thing, but I would suggest picking a pattern, going up by 1s, going up by 2s. You can go, don't write this one down, you can go 0, 3, 4, 7. You can do that. It'll give you the values, but they're all over the place, so you won't be able to see the pattern. It makes your life a little bit harder. So pick small numbers, hopefully in some sort of pattern. So let's scratch out this first point because I said you only need 4. So I'm going to give you an equation. Here it is. It'll be always given to you. Now you need to graph it. So we come up with our 4 x values. You need to calculate the matching y values. We start off with writing your equation down. So we'll do that on the side. So our equation is y is equal to 4x. Like that. And for our first value, we're saying x is -1. So we replace the -1 in the equation. Sorry, the x with the -1. And we calculate. what number do we get? Gary? Sorry? No. What is the math operation between the 4 and the -1? It's not adding. Sorry? -4. It's multiplying. So a number touching a bracket means to multiply. So this equals -4. All right? Now we do the same thing for the next one. Okay, y, let's do blue this time here. Y equals 4x is our relationship equation we're given. Where we see a x, we replace it with our value. What do we get out? 0. 4 times 0? 0. Okay? Now we're going to do it again, and we're going to make a prediction. Looking at the pattern, how much is it going up by each time in the y? 4. For every 1 increase in x, we notice a 4 increase in y. So we should expect this to be a 4. But using our calculation, so if I go here, y is equal to 4x. 4 times 1, we get 4. Right? Ashton, what do you expect to see here?
No.
What's the pattern?
No.
Just talked about it. Why'd you? All right. What do you expect to see? 8. We're going up by 4s. Right? So if you write down our equation, y is equal to 4x. This time we stick in the number 2 in for x. So 4 times 2 equals 8. Right? So now we have 4 points to plot. And I have given you pre-made scale, so it's a little bit easier. So plot the 4 points. Start ahead of me, right? And I'll just plot mine slowly after you. The first point is -1, -4. Plot that. X -1 down to -4, right? Right, that's going to be right here if you haven't done it yet. Right, so when you're dropping your points on the graph, if you notice that it's not making a line, that means maybe you made a mistake in your calculation or where you're drawing your point. Right, all these should make a nice point. So next point is 0, 0. Then we have 1 and 4. And we have 2 and 8. Okay. So your graph should look like this, right? -1 and 4, 0, 0, 1 and 4, 2 and 8. All perfectly on a line, so grab your ruler and draw a line through there. Okay. And okay. All right. So now, on to the next part. It says, hey, what is the y value if x is 4? There's 2 ways you can do this. You can use the equation. We know y is equal to 4 times x. All we are doing is replacing the x with the x value. 4 times 4. Oops, that should be in black there. We got 16. Right? And I think that's the best course of action for this question in particular. The other method is to use the graph, if your graph was big enough. Our graph here is not big enough. What you could do is, if your graph was big enough, look at 4 here, you go up to the line where it hits, and that would be your answer. It just doesn't work out this time. Okay? So if you can use a graph, might as well use a graph. Right? Next question. Okay, this is not a hard question, but really hard to interpret. It says, hey, for the point x comma 36. Remember, these points are given to us as x, y. What is the value of x? So they gave us the y value. They're asking the x value this time. So we start off with your equation. Y is equal to 4x. And this time, we're going to replace the y with 36. And this is what we're going to do in the coming chapters. Maybe next chapter or the chapter after that, we'll be looking at how to solve this. So we're not going to go through the algebra of this. We'll do that in the coming weeks. But you can probably look at that and tell me what the answer is. Right? Yes?
6.5.
Not 6.5? Nope. So we're looking for, how about instead of an x? Yes, Max? 9, yeah. We want 4 times something to be 36. What's that something? 9. Right? And so it just depends on how good you are with your multiplication, how easily you see that. So x is 9. All right? Let's do this once more. Let's go for this one here. There's 5 points here. I don't know. Let's scratch them out. We don't have to use these 5 points. You can. Right? I only want to use 4 points. Give me a point to start with. What do you want to start with? Pick the number for x. Doesn't really matter. It's a small number. Right?
4.
You want to use, so who was that? Oh, Ashton, that was 4? Yeah, we can use 4. Right? So we can use 4. Right? So if you use 4, what else can we use? Sorry? 5, 8. I heard different numbers. Who said 5 and who said 8?
I said 5.
You said 5, and Suhani, did you say 8? Right? Okay. So now, we want to be strategic about this, remember. Do a little mental calculation in your head. For the first point, if x is 4, what should the y, what is the y value be? Can you do that in your head? No? All we're going to do is put 4 into this equation right here. Right? So we go 3 times 4 minus 1. So 12 minus 1 is 11. Not a huge number. Nothing wrong with it. Right? The only thing that's I don't like about it is the way I already gave you this graph. Right? It only goes up to 10. So it goes already off the scale. Right? So we're picking numbers bigger than this. So we're going to have to rearrange the graph. That's kind of more work than I want to do right now. We can do it. We can rearrange the graph, but why? Right? So let's try again. So I'm doing this on purpose, is sort of to highlight how do you figure out which values to use. Right? Because that's one of the harder skills that students struggle with in grade 10, grade 11, all the way through. Try another one. Try something else. Sorry? -1? Let's try -1. Oh, I'm going to erase all this and put -1 down. So if you put -1 in here, we got 3 times -1, which is -3. Right? -1 is 4, or -4. Right? So that's a nice small number. It fits on the graph. So that one works. Right? What else can we do? We just need 3 points. This is 0. Let's do 0. What else? 1. 2. You're going to pick the same ones as last time? Like, you could just on -1, 0, 1, or 0, 1, 2. You can even put 3 in there. Right? All those would have worked. Anything like that would have worked. You could have done -2, -3. Right? So I should, next time, I'm going to have to change my notes. I'm going to leave these blank. All right, so let's do this. Our equation is 3x minus 1. So where we see the x, we replace it with the -1. Right? So this equals 3 times -1 is -3. So we have -3 minus 1, we get -4. So this is -4. Okay? Next time around, we stick 0 in. Can you do it in your head?
Yeah.
What should the answer be?
-1.
-1. Right? You stick 0 in, 3 times 0 is 0. -1, -1. All right. Now, you got 2 points. Maybe you made a calculation mistake, but at least we can sort of predict a pattern. What are we going up by or down by?
3.
Up by 3. So according to this pattern, our next one should be 2. Right? So let's use our equation. 3x minus 1. This time I'll use blue. Use 1. So we have 3 minus 1, which is 2. It works. All right? What's the next one going to be? 5. I'm going to put down 5 here. Right? I'm just going to do it in my head. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 1, 5. Simple as that. Okay, now graph it. All right. -1 and -4. Zero and -1. One and 2. 2 and 5. Okay. So, I'm hoping your graph looks like that. All my color points are color coded there. Okay? They all fall on straight lines, so chances are you made no mistakes in your calculation. Take your ruler, draw a straight line through it. All right. Oops, that's off. All right. So your line looks something like that. Okay. So next question. When x is 5, find the y value. You could use the calculation or read it off the graph. Oh, actually our graph is not big enough, so we have to use our calculation. Y is equal to 3x minus 1. Sorry, 14, yeah. We plug in 5 for our x, so 15 minus 1, which equals 14. And that's it. So we're going to stop right there. Rest of the class working on your assignment for day 3. And we'll be done this unit.
Yay.
Yep, next class, test. Friday off. All right? Off from that, not off from school. All right?